Welcome to Quirks, Quills, and Creativity. I'm your host, Kathleen Zoll, the writer with ADHD. And today I'm really honored to be interviewing my very good friend, Jerome Lafayette Narramore, who is a fellow writer. And he goes by the name Congo. So if I call him that, you know who I mean. Congo, tell them about yourself, please.
Hey there, out there in YouTube land. Let's see. I am an author, investigative genealogist, and a film producer. I am also autistic with ADHD, which comes with its own subset of challenges, as the world may already know, if you are one of those.
So, you've been writing a really powerful manuscript based on your family history. Can you talk about that? What you're working on, and you know,
Essentially, it came to me as a promise that my mother forced me into before her crossing over. Um, it, it's basically a kaleidoscopic family memoir based upon things that I didn't know about myself until an accident happened and I stumbled upon 3 birth records from my mother, whom was an orphan. And she had raised me with the narrative that she was Sicilian, and I believed it and I lived it. When I found the 3 birth records, it said otherwise. It claimed that she was black. And she was born in the whitest state in America, and that state was Vermont. And so my instinct in that moment was, there are black people in Vermont? I mean, really? I have never seen anybody darker than myself in that state. Now, I was born in New York, just over the river in New Jersey as a kid. So, like, believing my mother was Sicilian was a much easier narrative for me to consume. But as I dug deep, it took me 18 years to discover a lot of the truths about what happened around her. I did not come to her until roughly about 2017 with everything that I discovered about her, because I had a feeling that she was hiding something terrible, and I was right. So when I uncovered all of these issues, I was like, this stuff is happening, and it sounds like Mississippi, but it was actually Vermont. And I mean, you're talking about the KKK, you're talking about institutional cover-ups, lynchings, sexual abuse, the murders of my family members, and I had to honor my mother's wishes because it was so devastating to understand the things that were coming to me. And so I wrote a manuscript. Who knows if it's any good, but there we
I
go.
think it's excellent. Having read pieces of it, I think you're an amazing writer. So my question comes to this. So as a person who is neurodiverse, I mean, for me, as a person with ADHD, I know that my emotional intelligence, depth of feeling for others tends to be very, I own things as if they're personal to me, even when they're not. How did this impact you as a human being living with several, I call them letters behind my name? How did it impact you as a person who is neurodiverse, discovering all of this?
Well, it wasn't, I wouldn't say discovered. So I've always known things about me. I mean, like, even as a child, like, there were things that I just couldn't do. I always found myself rocking in my dark closet when I was a child, and my mother would pull me out from underneath my bed, which was like leveled just above the floor, but I always felt like that was a safe place for me in a dangerous household that I was raised. But I never understood why there was such cognitive dissonance for me. And there were like things that I could never ever do. I'd take a standardized test, for example, or just like math, anything with parentheses around them, or
That's my field.
high concepts, and what my reading skills were horrific. It wasn't. I knew it wasn't my intellectual quotient. It was the way that I processed, but I never understood what that was. So I always just assumed I was stupid. And it wasn't until I was in college. God knows how I got there. Baseball. I was just struggling like nobody's business. So I went and saw the school psychiatrist or psychologist. I don't even know what they were in the 1980s. And they came up with a diagnosis of dyslexia. But that wasn't really what was happening. Letters, now we know that there are like different subsets of dyslexia out there. Letters weren't moving around. It was like full sentences were moving around for me. And I would always it was like a never-ending typewriter that would never drop down to the next line. I was always going back to the front line and never understanding what the hell it was I was reading. It wasn't until the pandemic where I said, I need to figure all of this out, because I had been to 4 different schools, colleges. I'd never graduated, but my work was always excellent when I was able to finish it. And I attended Harvard Extension School, and then I matriculated into the university, and I got lost. I couldn't keep up. I couldn't do anything. And I was so depressed, and that's another thing. I mean, emotional dysregulation is real for me.
I feel that.
I've spent many days in hospitals and stuff. Just it's really bad. So I went to one psychiatrist. They gave me major depressive disorder, and then they gave me general anxiety disorder on top of that, and then they gave me something called an adjustment disorder. And I was like, I don't know what the hell any of those are. What are these things? And then one night, I had a dream. You ladies know about my dreams. There was this little voice, and it said, autism, autistic, just that single word. And it's a word that was not really in my vocabulary. So it's not like something that I would reach back to and say, oh, maybe I'm autistic. This word just popped out arbitrarily without me like really having any footing in it. And to be honest with you, I always thought people who were autistic were the children that were in the helmets, or severely handicapped children in wheelchairs and things. And like,
Yes.
but so when I woke up with that word on my tongue, I was like, I need to research what that word actually means. And as I did that, I was like, oh my God, this is everything that I feel about myself. This is what is happening to me. This explains my whole life. This is the footprint of everything that I exist in. So I went for a psychological evaluation, and I passed with flying colors. But I had also taken this test for ADHD. It was called the Connors 3.
Yes, I know that one well.
And I still to this day do not understand what a hearing test has to do with ADHD, but I failed it miserably. It got to the point where I threw the headphones off of my head because the noises were so violent to me that I dropped to the floor and threw the headphones off my head. And I never want to take that test again. I can say that for sure. So that's how I landed in this ecosystem of being autistic ADHD. And it's an adjustment because the outside world, as most people know, had the same viewpoints as I had about what an autistic person should be or should look like.
Right.
Like, people look at me and they say, you're normal. And I'm like, I knew I was never normal. I can't even believe I'm married. I don't even know what flirting is. My wife,
See,
God bless her.
that explains part of the problem. By the way,
And my wife, she's beautiful and she has so much patience. But, she's an educator, and I think she looks for a specific brand of autistic people. So I think it's been a learning process for her as well, because I'm teaching her along the way about what I've discovered and what I look like inside of my head, because I can't see it from the outside in. It's just, you have to kind of invert yourself into your brain, and it gets ugly for a while until it becomes beautiful when you understand yourself.
And it is interesting how many of us were originally diagnosed with anxiety or depression because, I'm 54. Our generation, it was that television stereotype of the children rocking in the corner. And, ADHD, everybody's like, it's hyperactivity. Well, no, I could be a real slug.
Oh, yeah.
And so I think for me, I got the diagnosis when I was 51. And for me, it helped me all of a sudden realize that I have a place in the world. I have a place. There are others who get my journey. And it may look totally different, but they get the journey.
Right.
So like when you and I talk about writing, we've got different things that we both do in order to get our writing in place, but we respect each other because we're like, yeah, the neurotypical writers, we know what they're doing isn't going to work for us. So what are some of the things with your writing that, we belong to a large group. I'm doing a shameless plug. It's for, if you're interested, getabookdeal101.com. Really great group of people. They do query challenges, but it's so much more than that. We both belong to that group. I find a lot of what they do, however, I don't feel comfortable participating in at the level they suggest because a lot of the people are neurotypical and it doesn't fit me.
Right.
What have you found works for you or doesn't work for you from that kind of neurotypical world when it comes to your writing?
Right. When it comes to my writing, my writing is like sticking words into a wood chipper, watching them fly all over the place, and then trying to catch them and put them down into a sentence. And then you look at the sentence and you're like, holy shit, this doesn't work. And then you throw it back into the wood chipper and you're going like this all over the place and you're putting it back. Oh, that works for now.
I do think some neurotypicals feel that same way.
Probably. But within the group, I love each individual in the group, and everything that they say and do and offer are all wonderful suggestions that I don't know how to process. So as a literal, like you tell me a sentence needs to be changed, and then somebody tells me that same sentence doesn't need to be changed, but the sentence after that needs to be changed. Next thing I know, the whole thing, I'm taking everything that they offer and Frankensteining into my work and sewing it all together, and it's not my work any longer. So I don't know how to differentiate between what works and what doesn't. And like one of the mantras is in the group is use what's good, take what you can use from the group. But I have a very difficult time doing that. And I also have an impossible time condensing information. So I don't know how to do that with the immense amount of information that I have in this manuscript to condense it down into 300 words. Right. It's almost impossible. It is impossible for me to do without telling the whole story. Next thing you know, my whole book is a pitch.
I will say for me, finding one or two other writers who understood the neurodiverse journey was absolutely critical. So that I've gotten excellent feedback from a great many people in that group. But then I go to my one or two and I will say, please translate for me. Please minimize this for me. Please put it into words that I get, because I'll just throw the whole thing out and start over, So
yes,
yeah.
And I've been very fortunate in finding two people, yourself and Christine Guidry Law, another wonderful author who has working on getting her book published. She has an agent and she's ready to rock.
Absolutely.
To two people who have understood me and my process. So thank you. I'm grateful for that. And have shown great patience with me.
And I will say, Christine was my first interview on this channel. She also lives with neurodiversity, so she gets it. Final question I have for you. What advice would you give other neurodiverse writers about the journey?
Accept that your struggle is real. Accept that it's not a struggle like my throat, that it's a part of your typical process. And then find people who are like-minded, like-spirited, who have the patience and the empathy to deal with how you work.
Awesome. Awesome.
That's what I would recommend.
Really good advice. All right. Final question. Short one. Where can the listeners find you? Do you have your own website, your Facebook page? What's the best way for them to be able to follow you?
Excuse me. You can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Substack under Moses X _99, or Facebook Jerome Lafayette Narramore.
Awesome. Thank you so much. For those of you wondering where we are, we're sitting in Bryant Park because Congo is a New York native and he agreed to meet me here. Also, keep your eyes out. Christine Law and I have started a new group, Penned by You LLC. Follow us on Facebook for information about our workshops and retreats. And you guys have a wonderful day.